Good day, everyone. I am Mrs.Trinidad from BSMTTA, and I will going to discuss Chapter 12, Blood. Our agenda for this report is first to discuss what is blood, the compositions of blood, which are plasma and blood cells. And blood cells are consists of erythrocytes and bapicoat. And bapicoat is consists of leukocytes and thrombocytes. So let's begin. Republic Act Number 7719, also known as National Blood Service Act of 1994, is a law in our country that promotes voluntary blood donation to have enough blood supply in the country for patients who needs it. It also promotes public awareness that blood donation is a humanitarian act. Throughout the discussion, we will learn how important blood is to our body, that we have a law for a voluntary blood donation. So, what is blood? Blood is a specialized connective tissue. There is an average of 5 liters of blood in a normal adult. Blood is also a distributing vehicle. It is responsible in distributing various substances in our body. So let's give a example scenario. For example, you buy something online and of course the delivery guy will deliver it to you. So if we compare it to how blood works, you are the tissue. What you order is either oxygen, hormones, or nutrients. And the delivery guy is the blood. Blood also serves to regulate pH in a various tissue, maintaining body temperature. So blood is consists of plasma, the liquid part, about 55% of a whole blood, and the form elements also called as the blood cells. It is consists of the erythrocyte, the 44% of a whole blood, and the vapicoats, which is the remaining 1%. And we will discuss it further in the next slides. To furthermore understand how does a whole blood is consists of different elements and to compare the amount of erythrocyte, plasma, and bapicoats to each other, here is an example of centrifuge blood. So a machine called centrifuge is spin the blood to separate RBC, bapicoats, and plasma to each other. So let's label it. So first, the yellow part is, or the largest, as you can see in the photo, is the plasma. The next one is the erythrocyte, the red part. And lastly, the very, very tiny amount is the bapicoat. So let's further discuss what is plasma. So the plasma is the liquid version of blood. It is 93% water, 7% protein, and 1% other solute. It is mostly consists of plasma protein, but there are also nutrients, respiratory gases, nitrogenous waste product, hormones, and organic ions called electrolytes. So the major plasma proteins are first the albumin, the most abundant plasma protein. It is made in the liver. It serves to maintain osmotic pressure of blood. And the next one is the globulin, also made in the liver and in other cells. It has an important role in liver function, in blood clotting, and fighting infection. Next is immunoglobulins, also known as the antibodies. They serve as a critical part of immune response. Next is the fibrinogen, the largest plasma protein, and also made in the liver. It aids in stopping bleeding and helping blood clot to form. Lastly, the complement protein, which comprise a defensive system important in inflammation and destruction of microorganisms. Blood smear is a way to histologically study blood cells. So here are the basic steps for blood smear. So first is the blood withdrawal. Pick a finger using a lancet and collect an enough amount of blood using a micropipette. Second is placing a drop of blood in the slide. Third is use a second slide to fold the blood in the first slide surface. It mostly leaves a thin layer of blood in the slide. So let the blood rise, then apply the stain briefly and rinse. So lastly, place a cover slip on the top. So fourth and final step, view under the microscope. And you will notice the different components of the blood. So now let's discuss the form elements or the blood cells. First is the erythrocytes or the red blood cells. So the differentiated red blood cells are non-nucleated cells and filled with approximately 260 millions of hemoglobins, which are the responsible for gas exchange in tissues within the body and remove the carbon dioxide. They have a unique biconcave shape that makes them flexible and increase their surface for the exchange. It also consists of an ion transporter called band 3 proteins and glycoporin A. Erythrocytes are normally surviving in approximately or about 120 weeks. So next is the bobby coat. Bobby coat consists of two blood cells. The first one is the white blood cells or the leukocytes. White blood cells' main function is related to immunity. That is why they have to leave the blood and migrate to the other tissues. There are two types of leukocytes. So the first one is the granulocytes and the second is agranulocytes. They are divided based on their density and their cytoplasmic granules. So let's further discuss the two types of white blood cells. The first one is the granulocytes. It possesses the two major types of the abundant cytoplasmic granules. The first one is the lysosome, often called as azurophilic granules, and the second one is the specific granules. So granulocyte includes the neutrophils, eosinophils, and the basophils. The second one is the agranulocytes. It is locked in the specific granules but contains some of the azurophilic granules or the lysosomes. So agranulocyte includes the lymphocytes and the monocytes. All the leukocytes are the main key player in the constant defense against invading microorganisms and repair of injured tissues. So the number of leukocytes in the blood varies according to the age, sex, and physiological condition of a person. So now let us discuss the 5 types of WBC that we can find in our blood. So the first one is neutrophils, the most abundant one. A differentiated neutrophils is 50% to 70% of white blood cells. This is a granulocyte type of leukocytes, which means they are immune cells that consist important enzymatic granules within their cytoplasm that are mainly in the shade of pink. Neutrophils has a nucleus range to 3 to 5 lobes each. They are the first responders to an acute response to injury in killing and removing of bacteria, and additionally, they are also responsible for forming pus. The second one is the lymphocytes. By far the most numerous type of agranulocyte. So, it makes up the 25% to 35% of the white blood cells. It has a large, dark, intensely staining purple nucleus. A differentiated lymphocytes can be subdivided into functional groups called cluster of differentiation. It includes the B lymphocyte, the T lymphocyte, and the natural killing cells. All the types of lymphocytes, including the three that I had been mentioned, have diverse roles in immune defense against invading microorganisms and certain parasite or abnormal cells. The third one is monocytes. Monocytes are undifferentiated blood cells that ultimately become a mature macrophages once they leave the blood and enter the tissues. It has a large nuclei that is C-shaped. All monocytes, their birth cells, are antigens presenting cells with an important role in immune defense and tissue repair. The fourth one is the eosinophils. Eosinophils consists of 1% to 4% of leukocytes. It's sometimes same as the size of neutrophils and sometimes a bit larger. Its granules are typically staining dark pink or reddish. Its granules consists of MBP or the major basic proteins. Eosinophils together with the MBP and other enzymes act to kill parasitic worms and helminths. Eosinophils also modulate inflammatory response with an important role in the inflammatory response triggered by allergies. And lastly, the basophils. Basophil makes less than 1% of the leukocytes and therefore difficult to find in a normal blood smear. Its nucleus are two irregular lobes. It has a large dark purple or blue granules overlaying the nucleus. So as you can see in the picture. And it has an important role in allergies and chronic inflammatory condition, which you might remember in similar to the role of mast cells. Because both mast cells and basophil have a metachromatic granules containing heparin and histamine that have a surface IgE and secrete their granular components in response to certain antigens and allergies. The other half of the babicle is the thrombocytes, or what we call the platelets. It is a very small, non-nucleated membrane-bound cell fragments. Platelets promote blood clotting and help repair minor tear or leaks in the wall of small blood vessels, preventing a major blood loss. It has a lifespan of 10 days. So platelets is derived from megakaryocytes in the bone marrow. Next is the hemostasis. So hemostasis is basically the explanation on how platelet works. The first one is the vasoconstriction. It is a reflex in which blood vessels narrowed to increase blood pressure. And the second one is the platelets plug formation. It involves the activation, aggregation, and adherence of platelets into a flag that serve as a barrier against the blood flow. So we have in the slide we have a sample picture for more understanding. And the third one is the coagulation. It involves a complex cascade in which fibrin is cleared from fibrinogen. So that is basically how platelet works, as you can see in the picture. So that's it for blood, and here are the references that I use for this report. And thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you gained something.